team was like, hold your horses. They still need to do the fine details. And then whatever those fine details were, it took like 2 weeks. So I feel like it's kind of similar, but Sporting or want that every single one of those add-ons to be super achievable, and we want them to be less achievable. And I'm just like, is there no way that you guys can just come to like a swift like middle point? It just feels like both people are like, and it's like, can we just get it done now? We start preseason, or we're supposed to leave on Saturday. It's not even done yet. We're not even waiting on an announcement. That's going to take a million years. So yeah, it takes all of the, like, I know this is not what Arsenal don't give a shit about how we feel. That for sure, because they wouldn't do half the stuff they do if they did care. But it sucks the life out of every single transfer when you have to wait so long. Can't lie, so. But it's not about the buzz and the vibes, is it? So, I mean, how do you feel? You're not worried about it at all then?
I'm not worried. Obviously, like yourself, I don't work for Arsenal. I'm not with I'm not a transfer man and whatnot. But when I'm just hearing around bonuses, like, I just think it's going to be done. Like, obviously, Sporting want to save face and drive a hard bargain. We want to pay whatever we want to pay. Me and you spoke last week, and everybody's well aware of what Gyokeres has done to make this move happen. And if you're haggling over, I mean, it's some say 2.5 million, some say 5 million, some say 10 million. You've done the bulk of the business in it. So the main I's and T's that need to be crossed about deals, about the deal and everything, it's going to get over the line. It's just, I know these things, we say these things take time, and we love a dragged out process, but I'm relatively fine. Now, obviously, we haven't seen it confirmed by like Romano and people of that ilk, but this article is saying that Arsenal are anticipating a breakthrough. Gyokeres medical has been scheduled in London this weekend. I know we would have hoped for it to have been done by now, so he's ready. He's jetting off with the boys to Singapore. But as we've seen with Smith Rowe last year, coming from America to go sign for Fulham, Madueke this year, you can just leave. You can forward over there, innit? It's not really that deep to me, but until it's over the line, I'm not sure. And then obviously you would have seen the Sporting people made their voices held with the banners and whatnot. You would have definitely seen Arsenal fans doing that thing they do where they start tracking flights and looking around this house about moving details. So surely it's done. I wanted to ask you as well, Jess, like, are Arsenal wrong to be haggling about bonuses, whether it's 5, 2, 10 million, that kind of fee? Are they wrong in your opinion? Because some would say just pay the money and keep moving.
Not necessarily. I feel like, I kind of, maybe it does sound like I'm on the fence about this. Like, of course, I'd love for us to just pay the money, but understanding how Arsenal operates, you guys know that, like, we always have a very tight budget, and it always comes down to the pennies in the sense. Like, it really is not, we're not the type that can just pay extra. If you pay a little bit extra on Gyokeres and Mascara and so and so and so and so, then that's going to add up to us maybe not being able to do something else. And Arsenal 100% still need to be active in this window. What they've done up to this point is nice, but it's not enough, so I think from that, I feel like the problem with haggling is not that I'm mad at Berta or anybody else for haggling down to the cent. It's more of like the Cronkies don't, I guess I wish the Cronkies made it easier on us by maybe seeing that we're struggling and give a little bit extra, but they don't do that. They're like, here's your 100 million, do with what you can with that. And that's why we have to like go to Real Sociedad and, take all the time and try to get the installments for the release clause, we're down to the penny, so I don't really think I don't blame anybody that's trying to make the deal get over the line. It's more of like, I wish we had the type of owners that were a little bit more like, we're going to make sure you have the money for that release clause. Does that make sense?
Yeah, just I don't want to say you're alluding to ambition, but indirectly alluding to ambition. Like, when just give us a little more to just get over the line, so we don't quite continue to see these dragged out processes. That being said, though, it's not that I agree with it. We spoke about it last week. When you strip everything back, and obviously Berta's got fantastic experience as working at Atletico Madrid. He comes from a financial background. Now, whether people want to blame whatever, there is an elements to balance the books of some ilk, really, to move people on, to get the wages done. So I can understand why there's a bit of penny pinching. And like you quite rightly said, it might be 2, 5, 10 million to us, but that could have ramifications for everything else. You did mention something though. You mentioned it's not enough. What do you mean by that?
I mean, they've done a lot of business, but a lot of the stuff that they've done are not the main things that are going to make or break our season, I feel. Like, of course, you needed to get Norgard in. That was like you have to do that. You have to bring in a backup DM. Got that. You have to replace Jorginho. You need a backup goalkeeper. That's 2 of the signings. You know, we knew Zubimendi was coming in, but that's a great signing. That's probably the one level raiser through the door so far.
Exactly.
Gyokeres is one of the 2 attackers that we needed. We still need another one. You know, I get that they're trying to do the Madueke is going to be in the next 3 years. I'm really not trying to hear that. You just needed a level raiser left wing. That was all you needed to do. You know, you didn't need to, whatever you're trying to do with Madueke is a choice that didn't need to be made. So in my opinion, they still need to go out and get another level raising attacker. Because he's not one. He's just an extra, you know. So whether that's Eze, which I don't know if we have the money for. We've been kind of preparing to approach Crystal Palace for like 2 weeks now. But whether it's Eze or whatever, you got to get somebody else in there. It's not enough, you know. Am I wrong for feeling that way, or am I being greedy now? You know, I don't feel like I feel
Probably
like I'm
both, but we
greedy.
deserve to be greedy, man. We've been starved, and I
Yeah,
share your sentiment, man. Like when it's all said and done, and you strip everything back, you know, we're at where we're at with Madueke. I can understand the concerns. I can understand the concerns about spending 50 million on him. I can understand, even if you're not vexed about the 50 million in that, you know, that looks like the going rate. I can understand why people think, you know what, it's another one shopping in Chelsea's bin. It's 50 million on potential. Potential don't mean nothing unless it's realized. And
true.
I think if we was in a scenario where maybe we won some titles already or we had these game changers, I wouldn't say people would agree with it, but they might say, you know what, Madueke, do what you want to do under Mikel Arteta. Essentially, we don't know. We don't know if he's going to be a backup for Bukayo Saka. We hear he's going to be the left winger. I personally, there's no way on God's green earth he could have been told he's just going to be a backup player because he's an
Exactly.
England international and whatnot. But
Very
then,
true.
based on what we're saying, then just I remember this tweet, or better yet, what Ornstein said way before all of this kicked off. Yeah, and like, does it give you any food for thought based on what you said? People forget what Ornstein actually said about our targets. A left winger is highly admired, but only with a Martinelli sell. We'd go for Rodrigo/Gordon. Madueke is a Saka backup that can also play, left wing, essentially a third winger. He's not an alternative to Rodrigo. It's a different
Mhm.
signing.
Yeah, it's at the beginning of the window when he was saying these things. That's why, you know, I was on the timeline and I was like, it's not even certain that we're going to get a left wing. And I was getting chopped up for it. Literally, like people wanted my head on the guillotine because I was like, well, it's not confirmed that we're getting a left wing. What do you mean? They said we're getting a left wing. I'm like, are you not hearing what they're saying? Read between the lines. Like that's actually incredibly clear, but I feel like there's always been a gray area around left wing and that there may need to be a sale. Should it be that way? No. I feel like we shouldn't be in a situation all the time where it's one in, one out. That's usually our situation. It's so hard for us to build a strong squad when it's like one in, one out. You know, somebody has to go for somebody else to come in. It's I don't know. But we needed a level raiser left wing, I feel. Whatever's on the left, whether it's Trossard or Martinelli, just feels insufficient, and adding Madueke to it just further adds to the insufficiency. It's just different, but is it better? You know, so yeah, I think Arsenal are playing a very risky game going into what looks like to be an all-timer season with everybody kind of improving their squad significantly. And Arsenal, I felt like we're already behind with their attack and they're not really they don't seem desperate to catch up. They seem very like, well, we'll just add one little piece in there. It should be fine. But oh, we're going to spend 50 million on a project. Like it's just not in terms of age project, but like, you know, Arteta's thinking that he can make Madueke into something special. And
Some
I'm like,
proven potential
yeah, I'm
or
like, what?
unrealized
Why would you do
potential.
that? That doesn't make sense. And so they need to get Eze. I feel like that's the only way that people will feel okay with the window. And I know that they're not meant to be doing things for us, but Arteta is going to be on game 2 or 3 in a press conference talking about how we need to back Madueke and we need to hear the fans. But if you stop buying Chelsea players and just buy good players that we need, you won't have to beg for support. Like, so just get Eze and just close out the window.
Fair.
This is yeah, to me, this is where, Arsenal need to be so freaking for real right now. If they think Gyokeres and Madueke is taking us over the line and a buff Havertz, wrap it up. Wrap it the fuck up right now. Stop playing them up. Don't piss me off. Like, is that enough for you? Do you think we're gonna be coming home with the trophies then? With that?
No, man, because honestly, I feel like Madueke, you have all my support. I don't think you're a terrible footballer. I don't think you're like an amazing footballer. I don't think you're as bad as the uproar suggests. Obviously, a bit of that is probably down to Madueke as a player, down to the 50 million, the fact that we're going for Chelsea players, the fact that he's not exactly a level raiser, and also what you've touched on. For me, I don't feel we've got bad attackers or attacking options, but there's very few players I can bet on. I look at our defensive unit, even down to someone like Zinchenko, who I don't rate, and I know he can't defend. I kind of know what I'm getting. It wouldn't surprise me if, the Trossards, the Martinellis, he ain't kicked the ball for us, but Madueke, Merino up front, or Havertz, if they had strong goal scoring seasons. But by the same breath, it wouldn't surprise me if they did. It wouldn't surprise me if they didn't. I feel it's too much random business, and I wanted some level raises is one thing, and we needed sure bets. I hope Gyokeres is obviously that, so that's the second one. We know what Saka brings to the table. So then it's all, if Madueke does play off the left as much as he plays off the right, because realistically, God forbid, but unless there's an injury to Saka, or you wake up and you're twice the ability of Saka, you're not going to play off that right-hand side more often than not. You're going to either be a rotationary option or a left winger. And I actually think we've betted on him to be the left winger, to which I ask you, obviously in hindsight, we hope it works. If you've got, and you touched on Havertz, I want to ask you about Havertz as well. If you've got Madueke, this is just purely off the left wing, right? You've got Madueke, you've got Martinelli, you've got Trossard, you've got Gabriel Jesus. Who's the strongest option if everybody's fit for you?
Oh my God.
There's 4 players for one position. It does appear that there's depth, but who's the guy?
You want me to choose between that? Really?
Yeah, because for me, I'll help you by offering my thoughts. On paper, right now, I'm inclined to believe it's still Martinelli. I could flip that and say Madueke because you were signed for a lot of money. I fit Jesus. I think you're probably the stronger option of them all, but as we know, Jesus' days are numbered. So that's my thinking. That's what I wanted to ask you.
I mean, like I told you a couple days ago, I feel like I told you this last week. You're basically asking me, would I rather be like hit by a bus or pushed off a cliff? Like, come on. It's like they're different, but is any of it really better? I guess I would say Martinelli's the only player that's had like an elite season in that position. So it would probably be Martinelli. But I mean, we're really choosing between nothing really. Like, I don't know. Maybe Jesus, in theory, is the best. He's the best player out of the 4. You said 4, right?
Yeah, Martinelli, Trossard, Madueke, Jesus. Yeah,
Jesus is the best player, the most talented player out of the 4. But I've never really seen him play left wing for Arsenal, so can't really say him. So I would say Martinelli. But I went into this window feeling like we needed to improve upon Martinelli. But Arsenal are really comfortable with what they have up front. I just know that they are.
I wouldn't rule out Madueke playing a false 9 at some point as well to look at this comment. I wouldn't rule that out. I think he's got the capacity to do it, if I'm honest. I don't want to see it though.
Yeah, it's taking everything in my power to try to get behind this signing, because I just think it's such a sideways move for Arsenal. There's always a big sideways move in every window where it's like, do they make us better? Or they just make us different. I think he makes us different, but that's about it. He needs a lot of work, and Arteta needs to focus on the job. His job is to win major trophies. He doesn't need somebody that, he's not at Brighton or Brentford where, you just need to improve these players, and get as much as you can out of the season. Why you choose to be so desperate for a project in a time where and here's the thing about like Madueke is that he's going to need sprucing up to be good enough to start on the left wing and feel like upgrade, but the expectation is that he's going to need to hit the ground running. And I don't think that he can have a first half of the season like Havertz did. He is so much less tolerated than Havertz was. And I do find that to be a little crazy because I'm
Why do you
like,
think that is?
um, well, I talked about this on my channel, but I was like, it could be that we've already done this with Havertz, so we're tired. Could be that another failed season. It could be a little bit of the underbelly. I don't know, but I just am like, that you